Yes, Sir Hairless here. Two of the most moving live performances I've seen were from a concert a quarter of a century ago, from Lara with Love. They were both part of my kind of ongoing introduction to Lara Fabian, a phenomenal singer who needs no introduction. If you're watching this, you're probably familiar with her already. Those two songs are Adagio and Caruso. Now, I have done videos on both of those songs already. They will be in the pinned comment. I highly recommend watching them before watching this if you have not seen them already. In those videos, I explain the musical context, the music's relation to the respective original songs. Today's video is a long one. It's a double feature, so I don't need to be repeating myself with all of that. What's different about the two performances we'll be seeing today compared to the ones from 2000? Well, firstly, this is 25 years later, from 2025, performed at the Royal Albert Hall. That's personally one of my favorite venues that I've ever performed in. Just really nice space. They will be performing these two songs back to back, and that is how it happened in the concert. And Lara will be performing with Stjepan HAUSER. I don't know him, but he is a world famous cellist, which is super cool. How will they arrange these songs to have a cello in them is basically what I'm wondering. So let us commence this double feature. The video that we'll be watching, it has subtitles in it. It was created by Kev, a Lara Fabian super fan, and he's actually the patron who requested this one. So a double thanks to you, Kevin.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do you know the name of that song that we just played? It's called Lara's Theme. And the reason I chose this song is to introduce the next guest. Because she's one of my favorite singers of all time. Her voice deeply touched my soul when I heard her as a little boy. And I'm so proud to announce the incredible Lara Fabian.
Good evening.
I think the conductor just turned around, kind of ready to start, and then turned back. The video here is 13 minutes long. It looks like there's an introduction, I don't know, maybe 30 more seconds.
We are both famous for the same songs. Adagio and Caruso, right? So we gotta do those two songs, right?
You helped me through, right?
Let's do that.
I don't know where to find you. I don't know how to reach you. I hear your voice in the wind.
Oh, suspension.
I feel you under my skin. In my heart and my soul, I wait for you.
Okay, now we have HAUSER with the cello coming in, which I am, of course, very keen to see. I've said in videos before where we've heard a cello that the cello is often considered to be the instrument that sounds most similar to the human voice in terms of its timbre. So it will be cool to see how this plays out. Firstly, though, I think there are a few things I'd like to talk about. When it comes to Lara Fabian, this was actually my introduction to her. It was her Adagio performance from the 2000 concert from Lara with Love. So that's going to be my kind of point of reference. That is the one that I am mostly familiar with. So to go back to the opening. Much more of an orchestral opening, a more whimsical sound. We don't get this vocalization from Lara. I'm going to show some clips from the 2000 concert for reference.
I
We don't get that. Here there's immediately a slightly more magical feel. I think that's better for a venue like this, like the Royal Albert Hall. And then once she enters, listen how subtle the bass is.
I don't know where to find you.
Really subtle. It's a real move away from the electronic or digital sound that we had 25 years prior.
I don't know where to find.
Which is funny, time is moving forward, but we're moving back in time in terms of the instrumentation, the more orchestral soundscape. They're subtle changes, but they do make a big difference to the sound overall. Intense staring between the two as well, isn't there? Especially from Hauser, there's this just a level of intensity to everything here. There always is with Lara, for anyone who's seen her sing. This is a small thing, but it really stood out to me.
I don't know.
Ah, don't know. The I, it's not I, it's ah. Much more open. Again, if we compare to 2000.
I don't know.
Very clearly I. I have been listening to the From Lara with Love, Adagio and Caruso's quite a few times earlier today to really get them ingrained in my head. So maybe these kind of subtle differences might just be a bit more obvious to me than usual, but that's what makes it interesting. I can talk about them. They're probably not talked about in other videos.
I hear your voice in the wind.
Lovely song. We're getting much more tempo rubato from Lara here, literally meaning in robbed time, so like freedom with how you're singing, slowing down, speeding up. It's difficult to explain, but I think it suits the more orchestral soundscape. It just does. There's a sort of delicateness to the sound, like a way of singing by someone who has been through much more than the Lara of 25 years prior has, because we don't get that level of tempo rubato in that other performance. There are some similarities though.
I hear your voice in the wind.
So we're getting vibrato just at the end of the line, which I think is the same in the other one, and that means straight tone for all of the notes before that.
Hear your voice in the wind.
Yeah, the same. So there are these similarities 25 years apart that Lara, I don't know if she's consciously or subconsciously doing them, but obvious differences as well. Okay, we're 2 lines into the song and I've already said all of that. This is a 13-minute video. I'll really try my best to focus on the more interesting things. What's more interesting than the most important word of the song, adagio? Meaning slow or slow time. There's another very subtle difference I want to point out, which doesn't seem like much, but I think it is. We really get an emphasis here in the supporting instrumentation, which really causes tension against Lara's sustained note, which then resolves just before she goes into the final syllable, jo. In the 2000 performance, we don't get that at all.
Close my eyes and I find a way. No need for me to pray. I've walked so far, I fought so hard. Nothing more to explain. I know all that remains is a piano that plays. If you know where to find me, if you know how
Yeah. The intensity is increasing, isn't it? We've gone from singing to cello, then back to singing, now the both of them together. The orchestral texture, how many instruments we're hearing at once, and the volume, they have both increased. Lara's moving up in pitch. I've heard Hauser now, and you know, I knew I'd like him after just a few seconds of him playing. Let me show you why. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, this passing note. Just there. In between. He has such a smooth way of playing it, so legato, such a heavy and rich vibrato. Wow, this is like poetry. Legato, vibrato. But yeah, a heavy and rich vibrato, you know, the tremolo, the wobbles in the cello, that a little passing note like that really does stand out, especially when you consider the orchestra now behind. Cha, cha, cha. Still slow, this is Adagio. Slow time after all, but almost like a staccato or disjointed way of playing to contrast Hauser's very smooth playing. Why contrast it? Why not play as he is playing? Well, simply, I think it's to make the opposites just seem more impactful, to highlight their differences. There was a really nice counter melody as well, just thinking of differences or similarities, kind of one and the same. Ringing out in the woodwind, playing at the same time as Hauser, kind of like an opposing force. Usually a counter melody would come before or after a melody, or in between two bits of a melody. I'm pretty sure that's what happens in From Lara with Love, if I find it. And again, I just want to reiterate how much of a difference to the sound it makes having a quieter bass here. I can see why they've done it. I would bet that because the cello is a lower string instrument, they don't want the sound to be too lower string heavy. But in terms of the overall sound though, the softer orchestral style, yeah, it's just a different type of sound, which is strange to say because in so many other ways, these two performances are really similar as well. I want to highlight the sort of change we get as well. I close my eyes, that bit. Lara comes in and she's accompanied by the harp.
I close my eyes and I find a way.
In From Lara with Love, it was very rhythmic. Drums, silence, Lara, power.
I close my eyes and I find a way.
What about in her performance of Adagio with Dimash?
Close my eyes and I find a way.
Of course, that's Dimash singing there, but it's very similar in style to the From Lara with Love concert. That performance was 2025, like this performance with Hauser is. So all of this considered, it's really easy to see just how purposeful every little decision is to contribute to the overall style that we're getting, how they can change the style of the same song when performed at a different time. By the way, I was at that concert where she performed that with Dimash. I did a couple of videos on it, which I'll leave below if I can remember. If not, they're in my Lara playlist. And that then leads into this phrase, which kind of has a mix of everything.
No need for me to pray. I've walked so far.
We can hear the cha, 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 cha feel in the accompaniment. At the same time, there's a very smooth legato violin line at the top playing sustained notes, the complete opposite. They are essentially elongated suspensions causing dissonance, then resolving, then another dissonance, and then another resolution. And of course, Lara on top doing a bit of everything too. Yeah, it's really cool to see how having a kind of full orchestra and a cello can change the song. Let's carry on. If you enjoy these videos, please consider supporting me. You can buy me a coffee or hot chocolate, join our Patreon for loads of additional content that's not available on YouTube, or become a YouTube member for these groovy emojis and membership badges. All options are linked below, and a special thanks to everyone on the screen. Back to the video.
Forever that you hear my heart, that you give it your forever you'll stay. Thank you. Grazie. Merci.
Oh, straight into Caruso, it seems. Well, let's just go over a few more things to wrap up Adagio before then heading into Caruso. I looked at the camera and said, I like that line at one point because I was wondering how she would do this line. That is one of my favorite parts of her From Lara with Love performance before I ran out of faith. She moved the microphone away so it's a bit less loud at the top, but it's basically the same as From Lara with Love, which is cool, especially for me who likes that line. Okay, so this moment now, huge moment in the song. It's so pivotal, a key change. Lara sustaining this B into the D flat, just as she did 25 years prior. Suspension there. The power is still there, ever so slightly different type of sound, but that's expected. You know, things change with time. The brass coming in there though, how dramatic. It's like a film score, you know, you can imagine that being in a film. Really, really nice. And then just after that, the subtitles go a bit crazy, don't they? But that's a moment they have also decided to keep very similar to the 2000 concert. Lara, I think, has gone, you know what? I still have it. I can still do this because this is exceptionally high to be singing in your chest voice with that much power. So yeah, she does it. Supreme power in her voice, supreme accuracy, and the overall sound as well. What we're hearing in the backing orchestra, which we did not have in 2000, the sound is essentially the same too, which is so purposeful in my opinion. They could do whatever they wanted, but here they've chosen to keep it almost identical. With the key difference being the electric guitar in the older performance. Why choose this moment of all to be so similar to a performance from 25 years ago? I think it's a moment of nostalgia, to be honest. And again, Lara's just thinking, I've still got it. Let's just keep it as it was. And again, a super powerful ending. I won't show all of it because we've just seen it. No, go on. I'll play the last line again. With that same affectation that we got. This time, though, that little affectation much more pronounced. Well, there we go, Adagio. What a lovely piece of music. Well, time for Caruso now.
su una vecchia terrazza davanti al golfo di Sorrento. Un uomo abbraccia una ragazza dopo che aveva pianto, poi si schiarisce la voce e ricomincia il canto.
Yeah, there we go, back with the introductory theme coming through in this instrument. This is a cor anglais. Yeah, just there. It's basically an oboe tuned down, and it's got a longer, I think that's called a staple, the bit going into the mouth. The oboe is one of my favorite instruments in terms of how it sounds. I just love the sound of an oboe. So hearing a cor anglais playing the opening theme in this, I like it. Again, I'm familiar with the From Lara with Love concert performance of Caruso. How did they start? With piano?
You just see Italy. It's all there. That's probably the most...
Which we can hear. We can hear the piano is much less of a rich sound than this. It's less full than the cor anglais and the harp to accompany it. So again, having an orchestra, like a proper orchestra here, really can just transform the sound in kind of unimaginable ways. The intro, I actually thought had been elongated. Because this theme is repeated in the From Lara with Love concert, we don't get it. It's kind of just building suspense. It's preempting Lara coming in. It's obvious she's about to start singing. With that suspension causing dissonance. Here though, I was thinking, oh, okay, it's been extended. And then Lara comes in, which to me was a little bit of a surprise. By repeating the theme though, I would maybe argue it's a bit more musical. There's a bit more of a melodic reference. And Lara's way of singing compared to the From Lara with Love concert, much more than in Adagio, I think. It's so different here. It's so different. And a huge reason for that, I think, is because HAUSER is here. She is singing to him. Maybe not him as HAUSER, but, you know, she's singing to someone. Singing directly to someone, I just think it will change how you're singing. It's much more obvious what you're kind of directing at, rather than singing to an audience in general, especially if you can't really see the audience because of lighting and whatnot. And interestingly, I highlighted the difference in the opening, having the cor anglais and the harp versus just the piano. Well, now... they have decided to revert to just the piano accompaniment. There was a very subtle difference in the piano part compared to the 2000 concert. Is the line at the top of the piano. And then it doesn't drop. Here, it kind of stays. Very subtle difference. Small changes here and there, but yeah, mostly the same in terms of the arrangement. A lot of the difference coming through how Lara is singing. And having a reduced arrangement, again, kind of emphasizes these differences, I feel. The handover to the cello from Lara to HAUSER, I think, is really nice. The subtitles here say singing cello, which I think is a nice touch. But the lyrics prior to that, then he clears his throat and resumes singing. And that's why we have the singing cello. I mentioned before that the cello is often considered to be the instrument that sounds most similar to the human voice. This song, perfect representation of it, right? And again, Hauser is playing with such this rich sound, rich vibrato. Really intense, and he is implementing a lot of dynamic contrast. It is subtle, to be fair, but it's definitely there, loud, quieter, kind of extreme in the short time frame in which they happen. Yeah, amazing cellist, clearly. I don't actually think Lara's humming here adds too much. I wouldn't mind if she just wasn't humming there, but that's not a complaint or a critique in any way. Just my thoughts, if perhaps I want to be a bit controversial.
Delle luci in mezzo al mare, il sole notti là in America, sai, erano solo le lampade, la bianca scia di un'elica.
Yeah, nice song, isn't it? All right, let me go back over that last little section we heard and pick out the interesting points. Right, so this line I'm about to play, I'm pretty sure in my reaction to the From Lara with Love performance, I used as an example talking about how the language a song is sung in really is quite important. Languages sound really different to each other. Some are more harsh, some are more guttural, some are quicker than others, some are more consonant, or have more syllables.
Erano solo le lampade, la bianca scia di un'elica.
Now I'll play that same line from the 2000 version and we can hear that here in 2025 it's so much softer.
Erano solo le lampade, la bianca scia di un'elica.
Except for maybe at the end. Here, there's none of that grit in the first line and that little jump up.
Erano solo le lampade, la bianca scia di un'elica.
Can barely even hear it. Super airy, light sound, almost like a whisper, immediately off. In the older one, there's so much more conviction in the sound, sustained. It's not an airy sound, it's just regular head voice. The kind of conviction goes, or it becomes much more light and soft at the end of the other phrase. So she's really changing around where the softer moments are of each phrase, where there's maybe more power or more of a full sound. How does that affect the music? Well, I guess it's different for each of us. Some of us will prefer one thing, other people will prefer another thing. The next bit I'm about to play, lovely from Hauser, he does another one of those subtle passing notes, like I pointed out earlier in Adagio. And I just want to do a quick shout out to the video keeping the subtitles in here. If you didn't know this song and you were watching this for the first time there live, you would not know what these lyrics are for the moments when Hauser is playing. Is Hauser playing in such a way as to portray the lyrics? Maybe. I should think so, but again, that's for you to decide really. I do think so though. I feel like this Caruso is much more story-like, like telling a story than Adagio. And they're obvious about it too. There was the moment where Lara's pointing out and Hauser's looking at wherever she's pointing.
Voglio bene, sai.
That's cool. A break in the music. Suspense. Lara singing. You see that little break she does just there? Definitely the staple feature of this phrase. In the 2000 version, the staple feature was quite different. This intense breath and then utter silence. And then it carries on. In the next line or two lines, there's one part that I really wish was in this 2025 performance. You hear the piano doubling up the melody in the upper register in octaves. I feel it just dramatizes the melody so much. But the accompanying sound they're going for here is clearly a lower set full instrumental sound. All right, let's carry on with Caruso.
Visto le notti là in America, erano solo le lampade, la bianca scia domenica. Guardo negli occhi una ragazza, due occhi verdi come il mare. Poi all'improvviso uscì una lacrima.
My throat is starting to go for some reason. Yeah, it's much more story-like, this one, isn't it? We can hear it in Lara's singing. The faces she's making. In the arrangement itself, all of these instruments at your disposal. The cello has a real versatility to its sound as well. Speaking of faces, Hauser's playing, I was asking earlier, is his playing representative of the lyrics that he is filling in for? Look at his face and then look at the lyrics. Talking about facial expressions, or I feel like it was about mime or something, maybe to be literal. But yeah, surely, right? Surely. Also the very rhythmic, repeated falling piano arpeggio that we're hearing over and over. Da, 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 da. Something about it, I don't know, adds a depth of intensity to the sound. I don't know why, but that's just what I think.
Che sono il
Yeah, it's just a really nice song and cool arrangement as well. You know, that piano line I was talking about right till the end, we're hearing it. Much heavier bass as well than we initially had. I was mentioning earlier how I wish the melody was doubled up, you know, with that piano that came in the From Lara with Love concert. Well, here we go, kind of. Not in the upper register of a piano, of course, but by Hauser. Very dramatic. I also wonder if he kind of came in a little bit early. Lara looks a little bit surprised and then they do this thing. But yeah, there's so much tempo rubato, rhythmic freedom from the both of them that you can tell they're really just into it, into the song, into the music. They're united, doing the same thing, but not quite. There are these slight rhythmic differences between the two, you know, freedom of artistic expression or whatever the phrase is. And it's also a great way to show just how similar in sound the cello is to the human voice. Here... Hauser does a sort of a little trill that Lara sort of replicates. We can barely hear it though, just because of how similar the cello sound is to her voice. It's a really, really good example. And then finally, when the melody splits off into harmony. I love how Lara takes the upper line and it's just so incredibly powerful and high, powerful chest voice. Next time round, Hauser takes it, which I think is a really nice touch. Woo. Well, I don't know how long this video will end up being. Probably quite long because I'm looking at my recording software and I've been talking for well over an hour. So after I kind of cut down and edit everything, we'll see. But I think that's enough of that one for now. My voice is starting to go. Two lovely, lovely songs. And it's so cool and interesting to hear them reimagined now with not only Lara singing again 25 years after the very iconic From Lara with Love concert, but now having a world-class cellist there as well. The intensity between the two is crazy. It's off the charts. As someone who's quite shy, even if I was performing, I could not keep eye contact with someone for that long. 2 seconds is enough for me, to be honest. So yeah, it's just a very musical scene. A lot of music happening there by people who clearly love music. Let me know your thoughts, how you find these two compared to the From Lara with Love performances. If you've not seen those ones from 2000, once again, I'll leave my videos on them down in the pinned comment if you are interested. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching. This is a longer video. Would really appreciate a like if you have made it this far, to let me know that you made it this far. And comments help too. So today's emojis will be a microphone, and if there's a cello emoji, maybe it's a violin, I don't know. But those 2 emojis, I'll leave them on the screen now. Hope to see them down there. Thank you once again, and I'll see you in the next one.